are back at Jam-ology. This is Russ of Soul Pylot. I'm accompanied by the founder of Jam-ology and my partner in crime, Mike, with our special guest, Bill Jones, here to discuss the summer concert series on the pier. Welcome, Bill.
Glad to be here, guys. Very exciting.
Talk to me about how it started and how long it's been going on.
Well, my friends Bob and Andrea Samuels moved here in the late 1990s from New York, and they fell in love with St. Augustine Beach, bought a home there, and then a year or so later noticed that there was nothing really going on in St. Augustine Beach. The city does not have a parks and recreation program of any sort. The county is really beach driven, but wasn't doing anything for citizens in the city. And they thought, hey, we got this beautiful pavilion here at the Pier Park. No one ever uses it. We should put together a social activity that involves music, food, and our neighbors.
Right.
So 21 years ago, very first show, they actually did 3 shows that year, one in June, one in July, one in August. Started with a 3-piece band, a guy cooking hot dogs on a Coleman camping stove in the corner of the pavilion, and about 40 people in lawn chairs listening to music. And over the years, it has evolved into one of the Northeast Florida iconic events of summertime. It's free music. We have a different food truck every week. We've got a association with the art studio, which is located at Pier Park, so there's art involved in the process too. And if the weather's good, we see anywhere from 900 to 1,200 people every Wednesday night.
Yeah, I've been by. I was pretty surprised on how many people are out there in their lawn chairs. Now, is that coordinated with what goes on Wednesdays as well? Is that still the market? Is that tied into that, or is that a separate?
Our organization actually started that market 22 years ago.
That's the Wednesday market.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's now run by another company, but we ran it until 5 years ago, and the county decided that it was their park, so they were going to take the market and put it out for bid. And so now instead of a nonprofit running it, it's a for-profit company, and but we've managed to keep our other programs alive.
The concerts are nonprofit.
It's free admission. Our sponsors help pay for it. Several years we've been fortunate to get a Tourism Development Council grant that has helped pay for it too. But primarily our members and our sponsors pay for everything that happens.
So you started getting involved immediately when you got into town?
When we first found St. Augustine, we wandered down there on a Wednesday night and said, hey, what's going on? And it looked like fun. My wife said, gosh, this is so cool. And we were just vacationers at that time. And then in 2005, we became full-time residents, and I became a volunteer. And then in 2007, I became the producer of the series.
Wow.
I enjoy it, but it is my wife's favorite activity. And unless I want to divorce, which is a very expensive thing, I run the concert series and keep her happy. So.
All right, so we talked earlier about how many people approach you to be in the series. How many applications or bands hit on you to be part of that every season?
Conservatively, 120 or more bands want to play 13 dates a year.
Wow. And variations of music?
Yeah, we try and do that. Part of the issue with some of the bands get mad because, Bill, you really need to hire us. Well, I have 50 bands who play, the 80s, and I have, 20 bands that play Southern or classic rock.
Right.
So we try and make sure that we do at least one Latin music night, we do a country night, we do a couple of R&B, we do a disco.
Right.
We really move the music around so that everybody gets a kind of a call it an eclectic music experience over the course of the series.
Have you ever given thought to expand the series to beyond the summer?
We have. Weather, particularly December, January at the pier is tough. But it really comes down to money. When we ran the market, we had pretty deep pockets, and we were able to do a lot of things. For the first 10 years, we didn't have any sponsors. We paid for everything, with the revenue from the market. So if we could find sponsors and find a way to reduce the cost of running the venue, we actually, believe it or not, and I'm not blaming anybody here. Police are necessary. Part of our permit, we have to have 3 police officers. And with what we pay them, they make more than the 3 of them together make more than we pay the bands.
Wow.
You throw in the trolley that we offer, the cost of producing the event and everything. it's an expensive proposition. So when we first started, there was no rent. The county just let us use the pavilion. And so,
now they charge you rent.
Oh yes. Yes.
But you're adding to the culture of the city. It would be
You are
a
preaching to
no-brainer.
the choir.
I
young
know,
man.
that's a
You are
no-brainer. I mean, that
preach-
just seems to be, but you
we
know,
do what we got to do to keep the thing going.
Right.
So many people enjoy it. The city of St. Augustine has all the old culture and the old buildings and all that history. St. Augustine Beach really, except for a little civil rights history and a little racing that took place on our beach back in the day before everything went south of Daytona, music by the sea is really kind of part of the history and the culture of the city of St. Augustine Beach. So we can't let it go away. We've got to
But
keep
it was away before that couple from New York showed up.
Yeah, there was
nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
So I mean, so 21 years it's been going from that man with the hot dogs and the trio.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And every year have you reached a peak now, as far as like, okay, well,
As far as attendance goes and that sort of thing, we really have, and we'd love to grow the event. There's a little more room at Pier Park. Our biggest issue is parking, and we've been begging the county and the city to talk about satellite lots and maybe some public transportation. And it's just not gotten any traction yet at the government level yet. If that could happen, we could certainly put another 400 or 500 people in.
We're here now.
Well, that's
My two activists.
That's
I love you
We're
guys.
here. I was
That's
born
to
to
say,
be an activist.
With collaboration, anything's possible.
That's right.
We put our heads together and we put our passion and determination. We can make it happen.
And it's a nonprofit.
Yeah. We're a nonprofit. We're a 501, and we also have another 501 that we raise money for that exclusively pays for the bands. Our members in the original 501 and our membership dues and sponsors, we pay for the police, we pay for the insurance, we pay for the trolley, all that stuff. But the musicians are paid out of a fund called the Beach Music and Art Fund. We also do some stipends. That's where we purchased the scholarship for
I
the
was going to
student
say
this year.
that, Bill and them were kind enough to sponsor one of the, Emmanuel was one of the boys.
Yeah, from the
And,
Arbionne Elementary School. They were
that's it.
very excited. They got a
Yeah.
great music program, and they
Yeah.
were so thrilled. And we were thrilled to do the scholarship in the name of Bob and Andrea Samuels, who founded the concert series 21 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So,
Yeah.
fill me in on how that took place.
Well, what happened was Bill called me up and said, he found out about our summer camp program, and we had a chat, and it was one where we from Jam-ology sponsored one of the students, and they sponsored a student from Arbionne School, and it was great. The chap that was here, Emmanuel, great kid. He's on the video, the music video. I'm going to show you the music video, and for us, it's just about we want to work with all the schools. We want to work with all the associations, organizations, because music brings people together. And that's the philosophy of Jam-ology. It doesn't matter about your level of ability, disability, proficiency, age. None of that matters. For us, it's all about bringing people together and having music, because music doesn't divide people.
I should do a quick shout out too. I look like a really smart guy calling you and everything, but the truth is another wonderful lady who's a member and supporter of our organization, who's also involved in the Rotary in town. Her name is Carolyn Mudgett. Carolyn told
Carolyn.
me.
Yeah.
Carolyn told
as
me
well.
that she says,
oh yes, I do.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I do.
here's your
Yes.
guy. Call Mike
Yeah.
and twist his arm, and it'll happen.
No,
Yes,
Carolyn's
we know
great.
Carolyn.
Yeah, Carolyn. Yeah. Met her the first time when you chaps were playing at the Hammock at the time.
Yes,
And,
she's friends
the
with
trio was playing.
another friend,
Yeah.
Diane.
Yeah.
That's how I met her as well.
So I got to tell you guys, so that your audience knows, that we do this on Wednesdays, mid-May through the end of June.
Okay.
And then we do mid-August through the end of September, 13 total shows. The art studio opens at 3. We've got a food truck, a DJ, and then the band from 7 to 9, and it's free. So we invite people to do that. And we're just so grateful that the community has embraced what we do and continue to support what we do.
No, it's
Well, we wanna
early
be part
on
of
I was
making
told
that
it's a big
possible
deal.
because,
Yeah. We think it's one of the best things about the beach.
So it's happening.
Yeah.
Is today? No.
Well, yes, later on this evening, yes.
Okay, and
Week-
who's
week-
featured this evening? Do you
Week
remember?
3, this is a cool story too. 9 years ago, the band that played 9 years ago was the U.S. Navy Classic Rock Band.
Okay.
and one of the guys who was in that band, he played guitar, he sang, played the trumpet. He too, like you, he's got a master's
Right,
and this,
and-
that,
and-
in
and
music.
music.
And he retired from the Navy a few years ago, and now he's part of a band called the Groove Pipe. And so he is returning tonight.
Okay.
With a different band, and they play a large variety of music from the 70s through
And he's a
1999.
retired serviceman now.
Yes, he is.
Right?
Yes,
yeah,
he
I
is.
have a number of friends that went through the Navy band and the Army band, and
Talented people.
yes.
And until
you
you
would
see
never
them, you
think
don't know. You just
You
don't
never
know.
thought that every branch not only has the band that you see at inaugurations, but they splinter off into like, a heavy metal band, and this band, they have all these little like splinter bands. You would, and when you see videos of them, here you see guys with their hair buzzed off and their Navy uniform, and they're playing AC/DC, on White Snake, and you're like, wait, what's wrong with this picture?
No, we're really excited about tonight, and excited to have him back because he was a really, really talented
That's a great
guy.
story.
Now,
I'm gonna-
speaking of talented people, we're going to talk about you for a minute here, okay? Because I knew about you before you knew about me. You were moving here, and my wife's in the mortgage business. And,
Right, and that's
her
how
friend Diane is the real estate agent, and
Right.
I keep hearing about this Russ guy. He's moved here. He's this talented musician. I know people come here, they like St. Augustine, but what led you to just say, hey, this is home for me now?
I bounced around New York. I bounced around Florida, up and down each coast. So I went down from Sarasota and Tampa, and I did a few master classes at a place called the Players School, owned by a former Berkeley classmate of mine named Jeff Berlin, a very well-known bass player. And I did that, and I checked out Sarasota, and I checked out the whole West Coast. And I was like, okay, everything seemed to be, there was sections that were quaint, and then it was strip malls. There wasn't a whole lot of much else. Then I went, of course, Miami's Miami, so let's just pull that away. And then I went up and down the East Coast, and I felt the same thing. Delray Beach has Atlantic Avenue, and then strip malls. Sarasota had St. Armand Circle, and then there's strip malls. So I was done. I was like, okay, it's going to be New Orleans I'm going to go to, because I hate the snow now. I grew up in New Jersey and New York, so I hate the snow. I want to be out. And so bouncing around New Orleans, and someone said, you're an old hippie, you should check out St. Augustine. So I came here, and my first impression was I walked through the I guess, old St. Augustine. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm hearing music coming out of, now I know it's called the Milltop.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I hear music. This seems like it could work for me, And I did. I bounced back here a few times and finally said, all right, this is good. And it wins. I mean, there's great music in New Orleans, but New Orleans doesn't have a beach. Okay? And that did it. Yeah. Okay? And so hence I'm here. And I'm here for good. I'm leaving out of my place in an urn, so I'm here to stay.
Well, we're glad you're here, and you're not the only old hippie from the music business that is retired.
You were saying
here.
earlier on, you're mentioning some of the...
I come home from work one day, and I was living in a condo complex on the beach, and there's this guy with long dark hair sitting in my condo talking to my wife about mortgages, and he starts talking. There's a British accent, and my wife says, honey, do you remember a guy by the name of Terry Sylvester? And he says, good evening, chap, how are you? I said, you're not like the Terry Sylvester from the Hollies that took Graham Nash's place.
Yeah.
He says, oh yeah, and takes
so
me
he's here now?
So he's here. There's a guy from the Bay City Rollers, a couple of guys from Skinner are still in the, you're 38 Special, you're in a good place.
And there's a friend from New York, world-class flautist, Allie Ryerson. Lives right on the water. A very famous bassist and violinist named Russell George, who is he's on 200 recordings. I mean, it's endless from Sinatra and Dizzy Gillespie and Barbra Streisand, and he lives here. So yeah, I mean the music community is growing as well as the art community. I mean you have. I wasn't hip to it, but I am now. The first Friday art walk. I think that that I personally would love to see St. Augustine as the ancient city be as prevalent in the music world as I know Newport Jazz was. And Newport Jazz, which is also Newport Folk Festival, Newport Blues Festival, you know, they run it all. There's no reason why St. Augustine shouldn't have that and be an understudy to Jacksonville.
Well, we should, the three of us should one night get together over beers and take over the world. And
That works for
exactly.
me.
We'll
That's
make it
good.
happen.
You know, so we should be wrapping it up. Mike, anything you'd like to add to this?
No, I
As the
just want
founder
to,
here?
you know, I just want to say thanks to Bill. You know, we really want to work closer with the community, and it's great that you're giving some kids the opportunity to grow their passion and their sort of interest in music. And so over and above doing the events, you're also getting kids into the industry, you know, getting them to appreciate and enjoy.
Well, we appreciate
So,
what you do very, very much, and we're excited, very, very
Well,
excited.
I'm glad that we've
Pleasure.
Made the connection.
most definitely. Yep.
I guess that's a wrap. Till next time.